Teams because again, this has a lot of features, and this has we have I have a we have a corporate account for this one, and we have limited time for this, and we can record our session up to eternity. So, right, this time, good morning, everyone. Good morning, programmers. I'm going to discuss today file handling. So, when we talk about file handling. By the way, if in any event you might be confused or you have like clarifications or questions, you can then ask me. So again, let's back where we left off. When we talk about file handling, so it is a concept in programming that allows us to store data or information to our computers permanently. So as we can observe or as we can notice, when we are going to create a program and then we take input from the user, and then uh, apparently when those entered data are, I mean, when the program exits or terminates, those data that we have entered previously are going to be lost because it's those are only stored into our RAM temporarily. So the good thing about file handling is that we are able to store data permanently. Okay. So this time, so that the next time around you are going to like you want to access those data that you have entered, you can actually uh, fetch it. No, you can actually retrieve it. Okay. So this time let's discuss about file handling. All right. So let's start with um, the storing. No. So in file handling in Java, there are a lot of ways to do this one. You can use input file stream. We can use any other library, but the one that I'm using is under java.util gihapon siya. So uh, it's file writer and file reader. So this two right here. So we have file writer. Okay. So let's say fwrite. I mean java.io rather. So let's say fwrite. Okay. So again, you guys can follow or repeat after me. No, you can follow whatever I'm writing. So I will just be very slow para dili kayo sa paspas, or I mean para maka-follow mo siya, para maka-follow mo tira. So let's have your file writer. Okay. And then let's put it there as like null muna. All right. So don't you worry with this one because this one requires a throws exception. Either you can actually mouse over it. You can every time you want to use file writer, file reader, Java will ask you to throw the exception. Why is that? Kasi si Java has the mechanism to it has mechanism telling you that there could be possibly error going to be encountered in the program, and as much as possible java will catch those errors and throw it away. Okay, because as we all know, java is a garbage in, garbage out. Java can catch the errors, and eventually we can manipulate those errors, and we can either throw those errors. So one of the things we can do that is throwing the exception. So let's say we have here, actually we have a lot of exception handling. We have file not found, input mismatch, array index out of bounds, and we're going to discuss those in the succeeding weeks. But for today, let's discuss the parent or the mother of all exception. So kung may yung tag exception, exception is something that is like exempted, no? Okay, so kumbaga murag uh, kumbaga ang sa tao pa, okay, wala kay care, you don't care of whatever unsay consequences, basta exempt siya ang exception para sa imuha, no? So di mo siya i-appeal, no? Murag siya og i-filter out nimo siya na siya lang, even though wala siya nakaano sa qualifications or what. So yan, exception. So this time we just thrown an exception, or we can either follow, or we can either surround this with try and catch. Okay, but later on I'm gonna show to you the difference between throwing it or using try and catch. So I'm going to also uh, file read. So I'm going to also declare or instantiate a file reader. So let's say fread is equal to new file reader. Okay, so this time I just put this one for like null for now. So as you can notice, we have here two import statements. So we have one for file reader and we have one for file writer. Okay, so uh, basically these two are part of a one package. So we can actually make this as one na lang, no? Or well, declare a statement that says multiple declaration. So that's it. Now let me discuss the two, or the difference between the two. Obviously, file writer. So writer is a library in Java that allows us to write or to store data to our program, or let's say the user enters information of employee, so you can then store this to either a text file, either a word file. Okay, and as we all know, no, our computer composed of different files, and it's stored into our directory, into our hard disk. So kana tong mga sa hard disk na to, like sa local disk C, nasa D, nasa E, nasa F, nasa US flash drive or USB flash drive, kanang na-store da mao ng mga files. You can store images, you can store text files, you can store document. And in Java, the mechanism in spelling it is fwrite or file writer. So file writer, no? Dali lang siya matimanan kasi mnemonic siya, file writer. Now, for file reader naman, this is used to read, meaning if there are files in existing files from your location, or from file location, or from your directory, you can then fetch that file. So by fetching that file, you can read all those files and populate it to your program. So what does it mean? In layman's term pa, katong file na imuhang nabasa, pwede nimo tan-awon unsay content ato. Okay? So as long as naatay reader for that content, kay dili tanan content makaya ma-read sa tong program, obviously, because like for an instance, our program can only read mga text files. Okay? Pwede po natong program can read PowerPoint. So kanang mag-browse that's actually file reader. When we browse a PowerPoint, when we browse a Word document, that's actually reading a file. Okay? And then opening it, of course, that's another application that does it. So for now, ang limitation lang for this one is we can read the file and then display it in a console or in a geo option pane, and then limited lang for text files ato ang ma-open, okay, or ma-read. Okay, there's also one library that is called file. So this is also under input output. So let's say we have file equals new file. So I seldomly use this one because this is not like necessary anymore. So actually this one is used to when you have let's say you have a file, or you want to store the file into D So you can actually store it to like sample.txt, something like that, or sample.doc, or sample.bin, okay, or something like JPG. So you can actually store it, but since I don't have the D here, okay. So in Windows normally we start with C, we have D, okay. And if ever you have folder, you can also store it to a folder because it says that it is a path or it is a location. So cunning file, this is what we are going to put right here, like file. So meaning to say, we will write our file, okay, in this directory, the sample.jpg, okay, in that format. So, but usually we do it with txt. Okay, kasi at least ma-open na to, and then at the same time we can edit the information there. So, why I don't normally use this one, because automatically I can just like do it like this one. Let's say for an instance, I want to have my file stored into the sample.txt, something like that. So you can do this one or either do this one. But the good thing about this library is that you can call the method, like if it can read, can write, can create a new file, can delete the file if the file is going to exist, okay, and even get the absolute path. Example, we're going to store here sample.txt, okay, and then we are going to write it. So writing sa taas, tapos na nato ning fread. Okay, so this time I'm going to run this one, or mag-display la lang ko, display ko og, okay, let's say file is created. So I'm going to run this one. Okay. So file is created, and then there's two. Okay, file is created. So ang i-follow ano niya, obviously kaning nasa fwrite, not that sample.txt. So meaning to say, if I'm going to refresh this one, okay, I would not see anything there as sample.txt, but you can see there D, then this one ample.txt. So something like, because again, I don't have the D as I've said. So let's say we're not going to use a specific location. Let's say we will use file. So let's have here file. So file is created. I'm going to refresh my the content of this one. And there you are. I can store my sample that I was able to create sample.txt. And then if I want to know, okay, if I want to know which where can I locate it, you can just meaning iyahang kuan, iyahang location kung asa nimo siya makita. So get absolute path. Okay, so I'm going to run this one. So the get absolute path will tell me that it is stored in my volumes Satoshi CCE103 JP2252A. So if I'm going to navigate it through there, okay, I'll go to Satoshi, and then what is that? CCE103. So CCE103JP 2252A, and there I'm able to store it there in my text file. Okay, so it's not limited to text file. You can actually create a doc file. Okay, let's say for an instance, resume.doc. So file created, and I'm going to refresh this one. So there, I am able to create a document, resume.doc. I can even create a PowerPoint, PPT, X, Excel file, whatever you would like to. So you can create it in your file, no? And yeah, so there, no? Resume, So resume.pptext. Anyway, so that's how you create a file. All right. Any questions so far? Okay. The advantage of having file instantiated is that you're able to call the methods right here. So you can even compare, like, if the file if file that exists. Okay, this will give us like true or false. So if it exists, you can then, that file is already exist, and therefore it you cannot create that file, something like that. So there are like, di ba, kung mag-store ka o let's say nagkuan ka o document one, gisave nimo siya into uh, assignment that document or docx. Then when you save the same file sa isa ka location, so automatic is-save niya. Pero when you do save as and then you have the same file name, moingon siya og that file is already exist. So mao ni siya na function or method that compares or evaluate either that file is already exist or not. So then again, you can then do whatever you would like to do as a consequence if that file is already exists. And there are actually a lot of things here. You can create a new file. You can get the total space. If you want to know the MBs, if you want to know the pila na siya ang iyahang kilobytes of that file. Okay. You can even create directory, make directory, and a lot more. But that is not our focus today. Our focus is to create a file with the content and reading those contents. So this time, I'm going to create a file. Let's say I'm going to store the information of students. Sige. So we have, let's say, student.text. Okay. So now, if I'm going to store student.text, obviously I will have to ask the user to enter in information there, no, or enter what are the parang data that would tell us that that the data that we are going to store are the students' data. So we'll start with the name. Okay, student name, and then its scores, and then we can probably store like gender, okay, and then age, and then let's say year. Okay, kana lang sa, no? So if you can see, or if you can notice, I I mean, all of my variables are stored into string. It would be better if you use if you use this what they call this one, special na, di ba, string is uh, I believe so, no? We have been discussing about string, and anything na stored as a string can be parses or can be parsed, rather can be parsed into a certain can be parsed into a certain, what they call this one, type. So whether it is an integer, is a double, or it has decimal point, you can then parse it, or you can convert it into other files. So meaning to say, safe gyapon siya kung mag-store ka og string, even if it's numeric, like for age and for year. Even if you want to put here tuition, mas okay siya kung mas okay siya kung i-string nimo. But again, it depends on your trip. If you guys want to know, if you guys want to, like, to really make like age, I mean, declare or define age as an integer, it doesn't matter. And if you guys want to store tuition as double, again, it doesn't matter. So, but again, what I'm trying to tell you here is that I would recommend you use string. So that is the logic there. And then And then if you guys want to follow it, then follow. So pwede record gapon ni nani. But the good thing about declaring them as a string is that once kasi na declare mo siya as string, you would have not encountered a lot of problems. And then ang question nyo, sir, paano kung ako siyang gamiton as integer or tuple? So in the latter part, pwede nimo siya i-convert into another value, di ba? Maka-parse man ka. So pwede na to na siya buhaton. So pero sige, let's try storing this information or storing this data of students into student.txt. Okay, so let's store now. Sige, store na to siya sa JOption pane na lang para. So let's have JOption pane. So I'll just instantiate JOption pane. Okay. And then let's have here j dot. Sige, ang mag-console na lang sa tao niya na ng JOption pane. Are you guys there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Pag na may question ha, ina ko ha kung para ina ko nyo pag na may question. Or I don't need to discuss this one. Kaya na, di na ako ni-discuss.
Discuss lang, sir.
Discuss, sir.
Sige, sige. Input that next and sige. So, with this one, syempre do, store na to siya. So, name. Mag-ano lang tag limited na ano bigyan na to ni store ang tuition. Age na lang taman. So, copy paste, copy paste. Then let's have here course, gender, and then let's have here age. So obviously kanisha, this should be next int. This should be gender. This should be course. Okay. Now, in file handling or text file, this is, sorry for that. No, I have runny nose. This is applied to all, but not mandatory. I mean, not for all programming language, but if you guys want to, if you guys want your data to be safe and secured, you will have to close your file. So this is ang uban gani kay napay open, napay close. So i-open pa ang file, then i-close pod ang file. So kani siya, this data that we have entered, okay, or the katong gi-enter ni user, i-store lang to siya sa name, course, gender, age. But if you guys want to store this data to a text file, let's say, sige, declare na lang ako tira, ako tayo butang tres baba. So I have here the fwrite, okay, and I want to store this until dili na nimo siya i-write sa imuhang file, dili na siya ma-store dito sa student.txt ha. So ana lang. Again, until dili nimo ni siya ibutang sa fwrite, yan. So we have here name, okay. So naay other function or method which is append. So kani si append is like concatenation. You're concatenating two information, two data, no, to be stored in the student text file. But it doesn't matter, mas okay kung you will use write. So fwrite that write name, and if you guys want to write the name in a horizontal na unsa na, so pwede siya in ani like name, tapos we have here course /t, and then gender /t, tapos you have age. Okay, so you can then put \n para every time you want to store the data into your text file, the next set of records for that student will be stored the next line. Okay, so then fwrite that, okay, So you have two options here. So this is what I have told you. It's if you want your records to be safe and secured, you have to close your data. I mean your writer, no, fwrite that close. So, but if you guys want to free up some space or like ano niya ang garbages si Java kasi is a garbage collector programming language, you can have Flash instead. So if you're going to ask me what's the difference between the two, I will take the analogy from okay, sorry for this one. If ever you are eating right now, kana gumurag sa Bisayaon ako ha, kanang mag-CR ta no. Kung mag-CR ta, tapos atong bowl kay kanang i-press lang nato ang ano mag-flash flash ka, di ba? So mag-CR ka, mag number 2 ka, and then you release now your everything, and then pag may yung tag close, i-close lang nimo tong cover sa bowl, no? So close lang siya. But eventually if you open the bowl, your faces are still there. Okay, katong mga ano nimo na padyato gyapon dito. So that's the difference between close and flash. Now, I mean, paday ko na naingon ang flash. Sa flash naman is obviously aside from closing it, the covers katong bowl is at the same time if you flash nimo. So when you flash it, obviously those things that you have released, no? So di lang ako i-mention unsa to, will be flashed and throw away, and then wala na siya dito. So eventually pag open nimo, wala na kayo makita. So that's flash. So meaning to say, sa programming, ang difference between close and flash is that when you close, upon closing in your program, katuloy mo kung upon exiting or terminating kanina program, katong kaning close, ang mahitabo is that kanina mga records are still there in our memory. Na-stored pa, naka-stored, or naka-store. Pero kung flash imong gamiton, mawala to siya katong mga si tawag nato ana kasi tawag nato na residual, no? Those ang tawag man ko nato ana after mag-exit atong program, mga residual na siya. Those mga residual kay dapat mga wala na to sa RAM, and the best option to do or use this flash. Okay, so let's now run our program. So when we run our program, let's say we enter sa may mga try ko pangalan be.
Acer.
Ace? Ace or Acer?
Ace.
Ace, okay. Unsay kaso ani? BS vulcanizing siya. BSIT. Okay, gender. Secret. Age, let's say 17. Ayan. O, ata nakabot ng og stored successfully, blah, blah, blah. So, pero na-store na to siya. Bali, ato lang ta sa atong file. Refresh. And student.txt. So there na-store nato si Ace BSIT male 17. So if ato nato tong ato ang kani kita po nato the student.txt. Ayan, no? So student.txt. So po i-open po nato ni makita po nato obviously ang file or ang content anang student.txt. Okay? So yeah, that's how you store data. It's as easy as that, no? Inana lang kadali. So again, if you keep on writing or if you keep on storing file, okay, kanilang siya. Okay, mag-store tag another data. So kailangan syempre naka-loop ni siya, no? Kay dili ka sige grant sa imong program. So mag-store na po ta another. So what do you want to store? Kinsay pangalan? Dali, faster.
Michael, sir.
Sige ako. Michael, okay. Michael course. Charot. Okay. Oy, Tama, kay naka-next lang man day ni no. Sorry. Naka-next man day ni Joseph. Next line dapat to siya. O, sige, any Michael na lang siya. Michael. So, Michael, and then course, BS, say course, ano
Criminology.
BS Criminal. BS Criminal. Criminal. O, sige, BS Criminology. And then gender, male, and then age kay, let's say, 18. Yan, store na. Butang lang mo system that out na stored successfully. Pero, okay, when you open your student.txt now, si Michael na lang ang nawala na na-appeal si nawala na si kinsa to? Si Ace. So, unsa gyatong buhaton para ma-retain nato tong data? Ibutangan nato ni siya og true diri or true. True. Okay? So butangan nato siya true. Pag walay nakabutang meaning false na siya. Pag naay nakabutang true. So unsa din ang true or false dira? Sir, unsa din na pasabot ana? Ang pasabot ana is if nana dire naka-explain, pero if you guys want to me to if you want me to explain it, nakabutang dire kanina constructor dire string file name, so student.txt, and boolean append. Pasabot ana is when you want to store or you append the value sets or the record sets to your existing file. So true siya, meaning yes, i-store na ko siya. If dili ni siya right, like append, kadto, mao na ang difference ni right o ni append. Si append is isumpay niya without writing or without replacing the existing file. So kung append, you don't have to have true there. Pero para mas safe, okay, this is what I usually do, no? True and then right. So butang na ako true dira. So whenever ako mag-run na pud ko o run na ako akong application, sige mag-store kog data. Let's say Michael BS Nursing Male 21 tapos i-run ako mag-store na pud ko og yes tato na ko student.txt so Michael so mag-store na pud ko let's say Ellen BSCS female and then let's say 17 so yan nagnanak ko yung mga record dito sa ako ang student.txt and that's how you do store a file. Sige, question before I'll proceed with file writer. Reader. Sayo lang kayo ang file handling, no? Diba? Inana lang ka simple. Question. Mangutana ko, unsa kay gamit sa flash o sa close? Unsay kalahian nila? Altridge, Inumata?
Sir?
Unsay gamit sa flash o sa close? Kalahian?
Sa closer kay pagkatapos mag sa file i-close niya, sir.
Pero unsay kalahian niya sa flash?
Kalimot ko, sir.
Nakalimot ka, di ba? I told you nakalimot ang tanan. Dali ara may daghan man mo mga amnesia. Sige, thank you for that, Altridge. Sige, tama, no? When you do or when you have when you use file handling, especially file writer and file reader, dapat i-close nato para safe ang ato ang mga records para wala intrusions or possible let's say na lang ako injections or something like i-access imong file, no? Kailangan i-close nato. But there's other term which is flash. So the difference is that katong close is ang sa imong memory katong mga data na store sa imong memory dili to matanggal, but when you use flash it will everything will be taken away from your memory. So mag-evaporate to sila ng mga information or mga data. Okay? Sige. So, padayon ta. Now, thank you. Now, let's proceed with, so maghimo lang kog another class, although pwede ko magbutang dire, pero maghimo kog another class to do file reading, no, or file reader para mag-read og file. So, himo ko class, and then let's say reading a file. Okay, so there. Okay, so this time I'm going to do a file reading. So i-read na ko siya, file reader. Ayan, so file reader, then let's say fread. It's up to you kung sa inyong object. Equals to new file reader. So kaning sa file reader class, i-read lang to niyang file. I mean, kwaon lang to niyang file, ibutang niya as a reader, ibutang lang to niya, i-store lang niya sa iyahang storage. Pero it's up to us as a programmer if i-display ba nato ni asa nato siya i-display sa console ba or sa GUI ba, or I don't know unsa atong buhaton ana. But this time we're going to read the file and at the same time display nato siya. Okay? That is why kailangan nato og isa ka input statement wherein kwaon niya tong file. Di ba remember kung scanner ta, kay kung mag-scanner ta, system.in, meaning ang input is coming from the keyboard. Pero this time, mag-scanner ta, pero ang input is coming from the file reader. So example, kailangan ito mag-scanner ani. So let's say read is equal to new scanner tapos fread. So ana. Or pwede ka mag-inani. File reader, right ha? So pwede nimo siya i-inani. Scanner. This is what we call method chaining, no? New scanner tapos new file reader. So kung nakita o napansin ninyo, naiubanin ani ang pagka-program. So let's say sample ito student.txt. Student.txt. Okay? So ato ning iputang dito sa this one here. Okay? So if you can observe, ato na i-comment, kaning duha, okay, the difference between the two is that kani gi-chain na lang nako siya. So this is what we call chaining. Gi-chain nako that si scanner and si file reader are as one. Okay? Or para mas masabtan, bind, no? Gi-bind nako si file reader to scanner read, meaning as one na siya. Okay? So kani si read na lang ako ang tawagon karon. But if you guys want to be really kanang structured kani, and at the same time sa scanner, inani lang yung buhaton. Okay? So fread tapos unsa tong gi-store niya as unsa nga file location or unsa nga text file, ibutang nimo diya para ma-access to ni scanner, ibutang nimo siya dire. Okay? So again, it's up to you asa inyong gamiton. Pero kani usually mo ni akong ginagamit. Okay. So kani kailangan lang ni throws exception. Okay? So throw lang ka dire, throws exception, or pwede ta mag-try and catch. Okay? The difference between throws exception and try and catch is that ang throws exception mango dili nimo masalo ang error. Ang try and catch manggod masalo nimo ang error. Sige. So i-try and catch nato siya. So try and catch. So kaning try and catch, ibutang lang nimo ni siya dire. So let's say nag-declare lang ka as null. Okay. And then gi-instantiate nimo siya somewhere here. Okay, so tanggalon nato ni siya. Uy. Ayan. Okay? So, ayan, no? And then, if you want to know kung saang error, so, monikanized ni Java, no? Because it's translated and interpreted. Kasi na ay possibility man gud na magka-error siya. Like, for instance, ang instead na student that text kay students that text mo nang gina-avoid ni Java. Na usually, ang error dyan na is file not found. So, usually, ang ginabutang diri is file not found exception. Okay? Pero again, ayaw sa mo ng mga exception, atong gamiton sa is kaning parent na exception. And then, pwede nimo siya ibutang diri as an error. Let's say error. Tapos, if you guys want to know unsa na error, that. So, naani siya duha ka option. Either you will use the to string. So, kanang to string o nang taas nga error, kaning get message mo nang mubo na error. Okay? So, get message. Ayan. So, duha na ka-option. It's up to you asa inyong gamiton. Siyempre, ang kani for debugging, mas okay to string. Pero kaning get message mao ni ang if i-deploy na nimo imong program. Kay atong program jud even if naka-live na mag-error jud na siya. Mag-error jud na, no? It's not it will not get rid of errors. No, possible mag-errors yun na kay depende man na sa users, depende sa input ni user. And then don't show those errors na long way to read. Okay? So good lang na siya for debugging kay we are the only ones who understand it. No, we are the only one who can read that one. Everyone can read but they are not able to comprehend it. Unlike kung get message only display a certain part of error. Why is it unsay error? Pero kani bangod siya ipakita niya unsa tong entire error. Asa dapit where o sa siya asa iyang root, something like that. Sige. So in reading we use a loop of course to read all this file. Pero bago ta mag-loop, kailangan sa nato mahibalan unsa ang concept of reading. Okay. Ang concept of reading sa file reader is take note that every single space is considered as a white space and it's a delimiter. Okay? And when we talk about delimiter, single space is considered as, or a space is considered as a default delimiter. So, unsay pasabot ana, sir? Ang pasabot ana that every time na ay space in between the word, okay, every time na ay space between the words or two words, pasabot ana, when you read this file, this is one next. So meaning to say, BSIT is another next, and male is another next, and 17 is another next. Hence, Michael, PS and male, 21 are all are considered to be in different necks, which has four necks. Nakuha, nasabtan ko ninyo. So, meaning to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I would have to call 12 next para matawag na ko na sila tanan. Okay, example para masabtan. Okay. System that out that, okay, read that next. So, kung mayon ko read that next, isa lang na ka record ang basahon si Ace lang. So when I am going to call another next, so it will call another record. Okay, BSIT. Ayan. And then, so on and so forth. This will call every time or every now and then mag-ano ka og next. matawag na niya. So every after, again, every after space. Kasi mao na ang iyang basic na iyang default delimiter, which is a space. Okay? So if ever na you want to read the entire line, you will use next line instead. Yan. So next line, entire line per ano siya, per horizontal. So if next line akong gigamit, ang output would be the entire line or the entire record of A's. But if I do have like next line and then next, the output of this one will be Michael. So isa ka next line, isa ka next Michael, and then another, if I call next, what's next? What's called after that is BSN. So which is ang display is Michael, entire record ni Michael, and then Ace, and then Michael BSN. Okay? So if kanipod ang instances, so let's say tawagon nato niya male and then 21, so next ta. So meaning isa ka next, isa ka next. So kanipod ang ano class. This one is everything you put in a text file is considered as a string. Okay, obviously because it's in a text file. But if you guys want to treat this as an integer or this one as an integer, you can then call this as next int. Okay? Basta make sure lang na pag ihap nimo is ang natawag niya next int. Otherwise mag-error siya. Okay? So, i-run ako ni siya. Yan. Pero if ever na wala ko isa ka next, okay? So tanggalon sa nako ning next line ha. So isa ka next, 1, 2, and then next in. Tabali ko na to ang student na text. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 ka next dapat. Okay? Ang ika-4 mao dapat ang next in. Pero sa atuang text dire sa atuang program 1, 2, 3, ang ika-third kay nag-next in na ka. So basahon na tong student na text 1, 2, 3 ang mabasa niya mail. Kani siya mag-error na ni siya. Okay? So, error na siya, input java.util input mismatch. Mao ni akong giingon na nag-error siya through display. Although nag-error siya, but since nag-try and catch ta, gisalo ni Java ang error and we actually displayed it here. Okay? If ever na wala mo let's say wala nyo gi-catch ang error or wala mo nag-try and catch, or nag-throws lang mo, dili nyo makita unsa ang possible ang error. Okay? So that's why I usually do try and catch because I can see, I can hear, I can touch, I can feel, I can I can see the errors in my program. But if you guys want to know, pwede po na ninyo tawagon ang print stack trace. Kani siya. Ano yung print stack trace? If ever nag-error siya, dara siya. Pero nag-error siya pero wala ni nag-stop imong program. I mean, wala ni na ano yung program, wala nag-abnormal termination. Okay, that's the good thing about try and catch kasi i-suppress niya ang pag-terminate sa imong program. Ipugnan niya ang abnormal termination. Kanang dili gani siya dapat ma-terminate. So gipugnan na sa imong program. Pero syempre wala naman kay other next statement ana. So mao nang murag nag-stop siya. Pero that's print stack trace. So ang error daw is na siya sa Java.19. So 19 kani daw. Yan. So makita nimo. Pero of course kung sa kung sa like commercial na deploy na live na imong application, ayaw mo pagbutang ana kay di ba na mahibal-an ni katong sa user, no? Kung ang cashier nato, ang mga empleyado nato walay background sa IT, of course, wala siya kabalo unsa ni siya pasabot ani. So pagbutang mo tog error na readable and comprehensible, na ba yung word na comprehensible, na mas dali ma-comprehend ni user. Okay, question sa question?
Sir.
Mhm. Yes.
Nay possible sir kanang bali i-read niya tanan sir ba? What if nga wala ka balo sa mga records then diri sa reading nimo sir is file lang ang nahibal-an nimo sir ba?
Like, you mean if kani
Ah,
siya na record,
I mean sir
daghan kani siya na record? Asa man?
bali kana tanan sir ba i-read niya in sa isa lang ka system po.
Okay, okay.
Ana
Good,
bali
very good question.
dili na ka mag next sir ba? Like ana.
Okay, very good question. So, if that is the case, no tong giingon sa inyo na that's the time you will need loop. Okay? Kasi imagine if this is 100,000 or imagine nang ha kanay sila daghan kaining records diri. Alangan naman mo si next rating kapuya, no? Suicide na lang, a joke. So kana siya dili na siya okay na mag-inani ka, no? Actually this is not okay. Ako lang i-discuss diri is ang concept para kabalo mo unsa jud siya pag-read kay kasi kanipuhon ato mangguning gamiton magamit mo naton is for your projects kay mao mangguni akong requirement. Actually mao ni atong focus sa second term. Okay, after ma-discuss na ko ang loops and arrays and functions. So sa which is sa second term. Good thing no, you asked that one. So if that is the case, kailangan na natog loop ana. So mao na ning loop na to while okay. So kay dapat background sa loop while read that has next. So meaning kaning has next boolean na siya na true or false. Okay, upon looking at your student text, ang loop mag-loop daw siya kani tawag nato ani sa iyaha nga loop is end of file loop. Okay, timani AOF, end of file loop. Di ba natay different file, different loops na ay sentinel controlled loop, na ay uh, counter controlled loop and flag controlled loop. Ang kani siya morning AOF or end of file loop. So, ang pasabutan ng end of file loop is i-read niya tanan records. So kani 1 true, kani next true, kani next true. Kung ay 1,000 na dira ka buok or 100,000, i-loop po na niya kapila depending on mag-true ba siya ang has next. So pasabutan na will it has next o kumbaga nangutana siya ba na ba siya in sunod? Yes. Na ba siya sunod? Yes. Na ba siya sunod? Yes. Amen. Okay. So with that, I can now simply display either kung tawagon nako per line, if gusto nako next line, so let's say next line, okay, ana, next line, next line, next line, and in my program, pwede na ako mag-display diri na, let's say, name, course, gender, then this is the part of me, this is, sa ini, itong last, age doesn't matter. Age, oo. So, yeah, wala na ko nag-close pero dapat i-close nato ni siya klasa para ano. Okay? Sige. So, there, nabasa na to. Name, course, gender, blah, blah, blah. Yan. So, if bisan pa og biyaan kaniya, bisan pa og pila na ka millions dira, pila na ka thousands ba, millions or billions of record, but because we use loop, inana na siya ka easy or ka simple. Nakuha?
Opo, sir.
Okay? Actually, pwede nimo ni isa lang ka next line. There, isa ka next line. So, now, if by next ka, so syempre by next, unsa ito kung by next, by individual, A's, B's, IT, mail, blah, 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 isa-isa po siya pagka-read. So, isa-isa po siya pagka-read, anaon po siya pagkabasa. Okay? Kano sa din muna magamit? Magamit ni mo ng next, gamit kay ng next. Magamit mo next. Ang next line, magamit lang nimo na for displaying purposes. Kanang wala kay buhaton nga manipulation. Okay? Pero if gusto ka i-manipulate nimo, let's say, I want to know to count pila ka mail. Okay, gusto na ko i-count pila ka mail. So unsa na ko pakahibalo pila ang mail diri sa ako ang record, no? sige, like kana, di ba? Siyempre, manualo nimo nag-count pila ka mail, so dili na pwede. So, how do we do that? Okay? So, pwede na, you cannot do that by using next line. Ang buhaton nimo ana mag-next na jud ka. Okay? Which is, dili na nimo magamit tong si mga variables. Let's say, name, gender, course, and age. Then si age, pwede nimo na i-integer na siya. So, it's up to you. Okay? Alright. So, since mag-read ko og file and I want na ma-read si ang mga gender, so I need to, pwede nimo dili i-store si first next. Okay? It's up to you kasi mag-next lang ka, pero mas okay kung i-store na nimo siya sa isa ka variable. So read that next. And then gender is equal to read that next. Ay course pa man dahil, no? So wait ha, dapat course ang una. So sige lang, i-copy na lang nato ni siya. And then course is, tapos ang last would be int. So age. So since integer na siya, mag-error na siya. Pero kung gi-string nimo siya and you want na maging integer siya, pwede nimo siya i-parse, no? So ikaw gusto nimo mag-parse, so integer.parse int. But again, na naman na yung next int tira. So this time, pwede na nako manipulate ang sa mani ay nagtawag. I can now manipulate the record. So example, if gender, gender dot equals male. So then dungag lang ko dre count male. O sige, example 0. So I'll have here count male plus plus. Okay? So after that, display na ako sa akong program total number of males. Total number of male. So I have there count male. Now, that's the good thing about read. Okay, not all the time magamit nimo si next line ka kasi ang read is used for extracting the record here, no? So what I have just done here is i-store na ko siya sa individually to my variables, and then after that I have a certain condition here that counts whenever it encounters a male, and then eventually i-display niya pila ang number of males. So example, try na to. So total number of male 3 lang ba? 1, 2, 3, napaman 4, 5, daghan man di ay. Wait. Count male. Okay, kasi ang uban gagmay og space pwede mo equals ignore case. Okay? Ayan. So 5. So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there. I can even manipulate the courses, this age. Okay? It's up to me, no? Depende sa ako sa akong gusto buhaton, ana. Okay? Sige. Question. Klaro na? So, pwede po ko maginani, hold equals ana. Tapos, store na ko tanan. So, hold plus equals. So, name, \t, tapos course. So, which is mo ni atong buhaton by next term. Okay? Kanang nanatay, mag-store, mag-edit, magamit nato ni siya. Okay, and then age and \n. Okay, and then ako na lang siyang ibutang sa, kaniha, butang na ko ni siya dire. Kasi sa console lang man ni siya, no, di ba? So, for this, pwede na ito ni siya mabutang sa J-option pane. So, if I want to put this in a J-option pane, show message, and then gamitan nato og JText area, new JText area, okay, and then hold. So if I'm going to run this program, okay, and notice that I can display the records in my GeoOption pane in this. Okay? So, there you are. Question. So, pwede na ako ma-count pila ang BSCS, BSN, BSIT. Sige, try na to ha. BSIT, BSA. So, inana lang. Example lang, akong i-count lang kay BSCS. So, pila ang BSCS, pila ang BSIT. Okay? And then, obviously, you will do the same if condition. So, if, and then if, course that equals, ignore case, BSIT, let's say BSCS. So, kana lang akong anuhon, tapos BSCS, BSIT. Yan, example, mo na ako mga courses na ibutang. And then, butang na ako diri hold, isumpay na ako hold plus equals to BSCS. So, BSCS, tapos backslash N, BSIT, tapos BSIT. Yan. So, isumpay na ko appeal sa hold. So, sa akong program, I would see here, there. So, ayan. No? Pila ka BSCS? 3. Oh, wala na 0 BSIT. Check na to.
Sir,
Naman.
kay...
Wait. Ay, okay. Baliktad. Ay, oo. So, course, tapos baliktad, no? BSIT, kani siya, BSCS. Thank you. Gituyo na ako to para makita ninyo kung kuan. Ako itong ituyo. Tanaw na ko ba kung ano ba jud mo? You're paying attention. So, with that, I can, there na. Ko'y tulo ka BSCS na po daw, ko'y tulo ka BSIT. So, yan, no? Okay, pwede po nyo mag-read na i-calculate ninyo. Like, i-calculate ba ninyong age? Okay, I don't know kung gusto ba ninyo na buhaton, but you can do that, no? So, for example, i-total ninyo tanan age. O, example lang, total age. O, sige. Buhaton lang nyo dire is total plus equals to age. And then, butang ninyo dire, ambot lang kung sa'yo gusto ninyo buhaton, but pwede nyo ipon ang total age. But again, it's not necessary, no? But you can do that total. Total. There. So, run ako ang program. And then, I would have here, the total age is 165. So, gitotal niya tanan age kung pila. So, 17 plus 21 plus 17 plus blah, blah, blah. Ang total daw anak niya, 165. Alright, question. May questions mga langga?
Wala naman guro, sir.
Wala na. So, manguli na ta. Manguli, jud. So, coverage sa exam would be this one until basic. Ayan, I mean, katong week 1 to week 5. So, apil di siya, di ba? O, week 1 to week 5. Sige, pangutana mo unsay mga gusto niyo matun-an dali kay akong i-demo, unsay kulang, unsay mga nalibungan nimo. Guys,
Nagunaw na pa, sir.
una pa, sige. I'll give you time. Kay nasa ko i-chat pod. Sige, una sa mo sila.
Hi, sir. Nakipakunta na, sir.
For sure, napod ito bag.
Ang kanang dili ni sa kanang sa pagsapog namin sir. Mga tanong ako sir ba nganong ana ganing mag-sis out lang ka sir ba tapos magawas dayon ng iyang tanan dayon na ano line yun ginoon sa mo na sir.
Say mo
Or
gawas
pag
ang
nalagay
tanan.
type sir tapos nabi magawas na import. For
Wala
example
tayo
sir,
inyo
bakit
inana.
tayo na kay magawas ganina SYS out tapos magawas din tanan atos di ba?
Oo, sir.
Dili
Ana, sir.
na ako sir.
Wala
Please
na
di
ninyo
mano
ha.
di mano na ako kuha sir.
Same po, sir. Dili po na.
Diling ana mo sir.
Dili na ninyo ha.
Dili, sir.
Dili sir.
Uy, kawik. Dili na siya sa sige na makita ha. Wait ha. Ano na ko asan. Makita na ninyo diri sa code completion. Wait lang. Code completion. Kanio code assist. Sige ito. Code assist. Kanio help proposal. Help proposal. I-check ninyo na. I-try ninyo.
Sige sir,
Ah,
sige sir. Thank you sir.
Diyan nyo makita na. C++ pa na ni Java dahil Java.
Ay,
Dire. So, kanio Java proposal. Hapit naman February 14, dili lang kay ang tao ang mag-propose, pati si Java mag-propose. Apil na nyo tira. So, pag
sir,
i-click
thank you, sir.
niyo na, pag i-click niyo na kay, ano na din na siya, sysout. Sysout, mga main, ayan. Kung nakalimot kag main, nakalimot kag sysout, syempre kapo yun i-type, no? So, main, control space lang ka, then sysout, control space, so ana. So, murag pro tan-awon, no? Pero di good. Okay. Okay, sige. Unsa pa man? Mga deer, mga langga. Napay questions? Mga clarifications sa ikanang gusto ninyo i-ano? Guys?
Naman siguro sir, kay hilom man sila sir.
So, wala na kay hilom. Sige. So, kung wala na, i-ano lang ninyo ni na video, no? If you guys have questions and namoy clarifications, ay mo kaulang mangutana sa GC na lang. Ayaw na mo og wala kay ko sa tawag ani? Naga-cater og mga private messages unless kanang ano jud siya kanang kailangan private, pero if possible sa GC na lang, mas mo ano pa ko sa GC, as in it's all flooding in my daghan kaayo, so mo nang it gets overwhelming. Once ma-overwhelm na ko, di na ako ganahan mag-ano, and especially pag mga private messages, so mas okay kung sa GC. Okay, makatupag pa ko. Okay, so mo na pinaka-immediate na ninyo na ano sa kuha. Alright, so sige, mag-attendance sa ta. Wait for a while. Asa man nila akong attendance. Ron. Na si Myla? Myla, dear? Myla?
Lag
Oh,
daw to ang iyang ano, sir.
Lag daw? Oh, so, okay. Naman day attendance dire. So actually, I can download the attendance list here. As long as you use your names, maka-download ko sa attendance. Ayan, downloading na. Automatic na yung attendance dire. Dili na ko mag-screenshot. Yehey. Okay. So, screenshot lang po nako. Pero again, attendance na diri sa automatic ni siya. Actually, automatic ang attendance ani makita sa Teams kung kinsay nanonood or wala. Okay? So, wala na dyan questions? So, I guess we call it a day. Thank you guys for joining and for attending, and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye, sir.
And we
Bye,
see
sir.
you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, guys. Ingat mo.
Bye, sir. Bye, sir.
Happy Valentine's,
Thank you,
Bye,
sir.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Happy
Bye, sir.
Valentine's. Oh, mag-date na ninyo dapat. Saman mo, unsa man yung regalo sa inyong teacher kay Valentine's naman.
Mag-meet me sa
Ang joke
exam.
lang, sir.
Sure. Appreciate